Hey, what's up, my friends? I just met with my good friend Fernando Silva down here in Port Charlotte, Florida. He took me through his shop, into his service trailer, through his service vehicles, and wanted to put this video out here so you could see what another irrigation contractor, what their setups look like, and maybe there's some ideas that you can take away from Fernando's setup and bring into your own business. So let's go behind the scenes and see what Fernando has going on down here in Port Charlotte, Florida.
What's going on today, Fernando?
Well, let's see, Andy. Let's show you around. We started Next Level just shy of 3 years ago. It was just me and my dad at first. We moved from Massachusetts and saw a market for what we did, which is the high-end irrigation, into high-end residential irrigation. And then we moved into this new shop about a year and a half ago. Had the opportunity to purchase the business, the building, and the business next door is also the guy's retiring. We're going to be acquiring the unit next door too and expand. Vehicles are not all here today, but as Andy knows our story, we really like to keep things clean. That's why the shop is the way it is.
Yeah, this really got my attention, and I thought maybe not all contracting shops look as organized as this, so maybe you could just give us a quick walk around here.
Sure thing. Yeah, so basically this is all spare tools and things that are not getting used every day. This is a project we're working on for a unique drainage system for a tennis court that we're going to be separating the dust that comes out of the clay and the other residues. So this is actually some 3D printed fittings that are going to be connected to some Schedule 40 regular PVC stuff. And in here we got the Geo Ripper section. This is where all the handheld trenches live. This is the stuff that's been broken for the past week or so. So it's in the shop for some fixing. We operate about 12 of these things, so they break a lot. And the typical Florida contractor do everything in PVC. We actually brought the same techniques we did up north, which is what polyethylene stuff, which took traction very quickly once we introduced ditch witching and vibratory plowing and being able to execute jobs 3 times faster than the other contractors. So it was quite the innovation for the area here per se. We got a consignment agreement with Site 1, so we don't really keep a whole lot of stock because they come twice a week and they review our inventory, what we used, and refill right away. Come in the morning on Tuesday, restock Tuesday afternoon, and then they come back again on Thursday morning and restocked on Thursday afternoon. So we always got materials we need. This is basically just some...
This is my favorite part over here. I would love for you to talk about what's going on this wall.
Well, that is quite a bit. This is tools for repairing the stuff that we do in-house, but we have a mechanic that comes and fixes the stuff that is outside our reach. And this is where I do a lot of the training with the guys and a lot of the testing of the equipment that's out there from various manufacturers. Anytime they launch something that's say the greatest and latest, we put it to the test here and see what it's all about. So we got a multiple water source scenario here, so we can actually create real life experience of what system we would do. These are actually meant for pressure sensors, so we can integrate with the systems that we're testing. So there's a board here that we just switch wires to go from different platforms, and there are valves out in the field that I'll show you. And it's just a way of making our guys a little smarter and being more prepared to show up to these customers.
That's fantastic teaching wall.
Before,
sure.
Yeah. This is something I'm very proud of.
Yeah, I just heard it. Oh, yeah. You're in Florida when you have an ice machine.
This is when all of the guys would leave the shop early in the morning, and for some reason, I would leave after them and get to the sites before they were. And they were stopping at gas stations and stuff to get ice and yada, yada, yada. So it's some simple math. I figured that it were costing me about $600 a week just by the stop at the gas station to get water and stuff. So I invested on an ice machine, and a reverse osmosis filtration system. So they have the cleanest water they can get for free every day, same temperature, and it saves me money and time as well.
Wow.
I'm currently switching all of our fleet to electric transit vans. This is actually a charger for it there. Reason being is obviously the price of gas, but for what we do, the transit vans have been just spectacular. The electric vehicle, I wasn't much of an electric vehicle kind of person, but he has definitely caught my attention when it's costing me about $40 a month in electricity versus $100 a week in gas with these things. So that's something I'm currently working on, new charging stations for outside and that stuff, because we can't fit anything on here. There's constantly constant air on a compressor up top with a 80-foot hose in here, so you can go all over the parking lot and fill up tires. And we have a pressure washer behind too that is constantly just pull the trigger and it's ready to go. So like to keep our things clean. We do that every Friday afternoon with some beers with all the guys, wash all the vans.
Perfect.
Shoot the shit here. It's quite fun.
Could you, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Also electric there, so if you need to vacuum the vans outside, it's once they show up, you'll see how clean we try to keep our vehicles.
Can you take us inside your service van?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the oldest one, actually. And the first one I bought for Leo, which I believe you met. This is an evolution from the installation trailer, which I'll take you inside as well. It basically has the same setup as our shelving in the shop with different quantities. So when restocking, wherever it is on the van, it's going to be in the shop, and all the vans are set up the same way. So if different people go to different vehicles, there's no question of like, hey, I didn't find that part. So they're all set like that. In here, there's where the tools, hand tools and stuff get mounted to the wall as well.
And you didn't know I was coming, so this is how you treat the vehicle, how you keep the vehicle. This wasn't cleaned up just for the video. This is real time.
Not at all. In fact, Leo had to leave early yesterday because he flew to Massachusetts, so he just parked his van here as he came back from the job site, and they left it here. This is the cooler I was talking about. The guys just fill this up in the morning. Every Friday it gets washed and sterilized as well. They just keep constant cold water in there. This is how the vans are inside.
It's like you just got it detailed. You sure you're in the contracting business? Holy cow.
I do have an issue with OCD, and I like things clean. And I found a product which I will show you.
Yeah.
It's something that I use for my dirt bikes that doesn't let dirt stick to any surface.
Okay.
So we just clean that stuff up, do a couple of sprays over, wipe it down, and at the end of the day, all you got to do is just vacuum it. Everything comes right off.
Can I take a guess? Is it a silicone spray of sorts?
Kinda. Yeah, this is SC1. It's meant for ATVs and dirt bikes and stuff like that where constant mud is sticking to it. It gets applied to it, but I found out you can even apply on leather, and it doesn't.
So good.
Yeah. So this is the cleaning cabinet. This is actually just some fluids for machines and keeping things cleaned up. The geo rippers, when they come in, see that board has got drips of oil there. The bar is 27 inches long, so they pressure wash everything every day, and then they'll spray WD-40 and let it soak there so nothing rusts, because it's all steel chains. This is fuel. There's only one guy that's allowed to make the fuel mix on the containers, so there's never any issues with the new guy putting straight gas onto a 2-stroke engine, that kind of stuff. It's always ready to go there. They just pull this out, and there's a smaller container into the vans. They just fill that up, and away they go. What else? What's up there? There's some fancy gizmos as well. There's some tools that we use for jetting. There's actually a jetter right here we do a fair amount of drainage. So servicing drainage. There's some stuff that bores roots inside of drainage pipes that goes in on the tip of the jetter as well, and applies root killing material. So you just insert it, it makes its way through the roots, pull it out, come back a few days and just flush the whole thing out. It's quite cool. Then we do some artificial turf as well. There's some tools up there that are for that kind of stuff. This is a grinding wheel with a really powerful vacuum, so you can carve up to 1 inch deep channels into concrete and without dust. You could do this inside the customer's house and it would never do any dust at all. We use that on, obviously everything is built out of concrete here on the beach. We do some work on high-end houses. Is for low voltage lighting. We run some stuff up concrete walls and piping and stuff. And
Can you, would you mind telling us why there's a lot of different rain sensors on the market? Why the Irritrol?
several reasons. One, it's probably the most aesthetic pleasing rain sensor. It's the smallest, and rain sensor technology is something that's been around forever, and hasn't really changed much. How small this is and least intrusive to some of these properties, the range that it has, and the serviceability on this. You got just two 2032 batteries inside that we replace every year, no matter what. And the corks just replaced every year, which is a revenue generator for us. And obviously the customer won't care because every time that it shuts, the irrigation outfit already pays for itself.
Yep.
So that's the reason why we use them. And I've been testing and using these things for over 15 years, so I know they're very reliable.
And just for those that might be new to irrigation, there is no compatibility issues, or talk to us about compatibility issues with rain sensors and different brands of controllers.
Yeah, there is none. It's basically a light switch, that gets tripped by water. So you could use whatever brand you want with whatever controller you want. This is also one of the reasons why I use this. This fits inside the cabinet of the controllers, and it's not an additional stuff mounted outside with wires whipping in. Mm-hmm. So it's a one clean unit, which I'll show you on some of our jobs.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's that. This is some mixed faceplates that I keep for customers that are sometimes in a budget, and I just give it to them. Whenever we upgrade controllers, I save a few things in case somebody needs it in a pinch. That's about it.
Okay.
We got...
Yeah, very good. I mean, thanks for the tour. And I'm sure that there's contractors out there that are just starting that are going to take some tips away. And there's probably contractors that have been in business for 30 years that might want to spend a weekend with their team reorganizing their shop.
Would love to. One quick thing, if you are in Florida and you're looking at this now, is I found out the hard way how hurricanes can catch you with your pants down. When last year, actually 2 years ago, we had two back-to-back hurricanes that hit us here. And one bent my garage door into a Z, which wasn't a hurricane-rated stuff. So this whole thing, within 10 minutes, we can put 2 vehicles inside here and press a couple buttons. The windows are all hurricane-proof. The door is now hurricane-proof. And it became a fortress. So
very good tip. Thanks for pointing that out.
Don't leave stuff outside. I do not have any open trailers anymore. Everything is enclosed. And we got anchors where these things get parked when we get events, which actually I'll show you inside now. When we get events, so they get tied down, because I've seen RVs flipped on its axles after a hurricane event here.
Crazy. I'm sure you see some crazy things happening when a hurricane comes through.
Yeah. Including people getting crazy. So, again, you kind of came in without me knowing we were going to make a video, so it's a little bit messy.
That's okay. This is real and this is raw.
Come on in. So this trailer is equipped with a power inverter underneath, and there's solar panels up top, so there's normally a microwave out there, but the guys took it. It holds enough for 2 or 3 installs on small residentials. This gets parked on all of our new installations, and has just about everything we need in here. There's a transit for grading as well. It's all done by laser. All the drainage we do is all done by laser, so there's no issues with wrong pitch or anything like that. Power tools are all the same with all the vans. There's hammer drills, all kinds of stuff in there, and there's also the powered corded drills for the heavier stuff, so we can bore up to actually 6-inch onto a concrete wall. Underneath here, there's a bunch of kits that are actually tire repair kits. There's a compressor in there. There's different tow hitches, so if somebody needs to tow the trailer with a different truck. And there's a plumbing kit in there with a pro press and stuff as well. So when we run into more copper related stuff, there's a other set of cords that are hardwired to the inverter. So you can run a vacuum off of this thing from the back here.
And a strange question for you. Why is it not hot in here?
Strategic vents. There's vents on the bottom and on the top, so it keeps circulating air here all the time.
It is literally, I mean, it might be 75 degrees in here. Maybe pushing 80, but it's Florida.
Yeah, it does get hot, but not as normally you would be inside of an enclosed trailer. You're not even sweating.
Not at all.
Yeah,
no.
This is my father's. We're kind of cowboys from Brazil, so we wear cowboy hats all the time. This is the hat hanger when it's going on.
Very good.
Oh, this is actually courtesy of Hurricane Ian. It blew up all of my fence posts, so I cut them up and I made pipe racks inside the trailer so you're not carrying and tying anything up top.
Okay, so this is the old PVC or vinyl fence post.
Yeah. So we can carry 4-inch pipe in here for sleeves, and then you got 3/4, half-inch, 3/4, 1-inch, and then a couple of different sizes out there, which it's completely out of the way, and you don't have to tie up anything up top.
Very cool. Very cool.
So this is actually the setup for poly. This is just about anything you can think of for a PVC. Then you got some valving and stuff there and controls.
And you've got it all backlit?
Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah, there's an LED strip behind all that stuff.
Yeah.
This is actually, I bought this trailer before I moved to Florida. And I built this 6 months before I moved here. And I brought all of my house stuff into this. This was my moving equipment from Massachusetts to here.
Amazing.
Yeah. And as you saw, this is kind of the industrial side of Port Charlotte. So there's all kinds of business all around here. Forklift shops, there's pool contractors, mechanics. Right here is actually our the people that do our uniforms, Buffalo Graphics, which are great. Great people.
Fantastic.
And let me take you back on our complex here. This is something that I'm just putting together. There's a bunch of sensors in the ground here. There's an actual system that's been fed from that, feeding information back to that board so we can test flow rates and different valves. And that's how I teach the guys on when you show up with a multimeter, what kind of readings you're getting from the controller. You can tell what type of valve it is. So you can see there's 4 different brands of valves there. So you can see the different resistance values and all that stuff. So they actually know from just a few seconds on the controller what they're in for. These are plugs onto the elbow so we can create temporary zones and explain how things work in the ground with all the equipment above ground.
Right, without hooking up to a hose bib, you've
Correct.
got it straight off the controller wired and plumbed for temporary connections.
Exactly, and there's wiring here for lighting because we do lighting as well, so we test different products, different brands. A couple of 2-wire feeds as well for different decoders. It's pretty well set up, and then this goes out to the front, and we just play with some equipment there.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for the tour.
You're welcome.
And congrats on the business and your success down here.
Thank you, man. Thank you.